Welcome back to Primetime Crisis. Eric and I just have one big thing to talk about today, and then Eric a little bit later is going to talk real briefly about the first season of Steven Universe, which he's been meaning to talk about for a while. And if we get too far away from this, you're not going to remember enough to talk about it.
No.
So we're going to start off with The Tick. As I mentioned earlier in the Omnibus, we haven't gotten to Jessica Jones yet because we've only watched about half the season, so we'll do that next time, almost certainly.
Yep.
And we're excited to see how that ends and finally sit down and chat about it. But we're going to talk today about the second half of the first season of The Tick, and unusually we got the chance to watch it twice. That never happens.
Yeah.
But we had a party last week and invited some people over to watch it, and we got to see the second half. And actually I got to go back and watch even the first part of the season again, and you've watched that twice. So we've both seen this entire season 2 times now. Part of the reason that is possible is because, as you alluded to in GNN today, Eric, they're half-hour episodes, and when you watch a half of a season, it's movie length.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little longer than movie length.
Yep.
And that's really cool. And boy, does Ben Edlund get a lot done in that amount of time. So let's go ahead and just start right at the end. How'd you feel about how everything comes together with this pretty tightly woven, even though hilariously all about how the Terror has this big master plan that makes no sense? How'd you feel about how we wrapped all that up and what the VLM ended up being and all of that stuff?
It's really good. I think the second half is stronger than the first half.
Really? Wow.
Except
for the exposition from the scientist guy?
Just the scientist guy in general.
Yeah.
He's
not as funny as they think he is.
He's really not funny at all. They don't have the budget to do the effects that they want to do with him at the beginning, and none of that's as funny as they think it is. And then I don't like him, and I don't have anything like that in the first half. I think the entire first half is solid, but I think aside from the scientist guy, I think I like the second half better.
Well, a lot of that's because of relationship things that were paying off.
Yeah. It's because it's built on that first half.
Yeah.
And that first half is already so strong.
And I think we have a lot of fun with things that I wasn't totally sure we were going to do all that much with. Like all the stuff about homosexual danger boat I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
And that could turn out to be a fascinating character as we move forward. I didn't think we would do all that stuff with Midnight.
No. He's great.
That was really cool.
I mean, the biggest thing for me with the second half that puts it a lot
and I'm
above...
so excited about the stepdad.
Yes.
Walter. I'm so excited about Walter.
It's the Terror. We get the Terror the whole back half, and he's great every time he's on screen.
Jackie Earle Haley tears it up and does not get enough to do in things, and it's. I'm just so glad that people are watching the show, and that not just that it's getting more seasons, but that another season. If it stays this good, it'll get 4 or 5.
Yeah,
is my hope. We have a real good chance at a 4 or 5 season live action Tick show that with this kind of production value and that does stunts and has action and goes to the weird Ben Edlund places that we couldn't have put on TV back in the Patrick Warburton days, and it's such a big deal to me. It just pinched me. I gotta wake up at some point. How does this series exist? I still feel that way about it, but with the Terror, it's just such a big deal that people are actually watching the show to see his performance. Because I was afraid with the pilot that it was going to be this buried thing where once again Jackie Earle Haley gives a great performance that nobody sees.
Yep. No, he's all over the back half, and he's so good in every scene. I love him so much.
The music metaphor thing is inspired.
What's amazing to me is that this show is 100% a comedy, and he is a comedic villain who is scary, which a lot of more serious films have, specifically Marvel films, have trouble balancing.
That's a good point.
He's hilarious, and he's terrifying.
Well, and there are places where they use really violent terror sparingly, and when they do it, they go all the way.
Yeah.
When he kills that guy in that boardroom,
yep.
We had that party. There were a couple people at our party that were like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Yeah, he's the Terror, man."
He's so good.
I love the drum kit thing. And he'll be
the whole music metaphor.
Yeah, and he'll be really scary in the same scene where he's cracking me up, and he makes you do that thing where you're laughing at things that you feel like you shouldn't be laughing at. That whole thing at the front half of this second half, where the front part of the second half, where he I should say. Where he has the drum instructor that he's telling him to be harder on him and that he's going to throw him back in his cell. Like, that's disturbing and hilarious.
Nah, you're not pushing me enough.
Are they, I'm jumping around a little bit, but are they teasing us too much with Miss Lint?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Because they do the thing in that episode where, for a brief second, they try to make you think that maybe she's on Arthur's side. It's pretty clear from the beginning that she's not, but then she and the Terror turn on each other. I want to think that's handled pretty organically.
What I like about her turning on the Terror is that it's not a, I'm turning on you because you're good, because I'm
still
good.
Evil.
It's because you're crazy, and none of this makes any sense, and I thought it did.
Well, and you had a prediction that she would become the fourth wheel of this show. I don't think that happens, man.
I still do.
I think she is too far beyond, like...
She will be a main character in season 2.
I would have... See, I don't think so. I think she might end up being a major villain.
Yeah.
I think this could be a multiple villain show that aren't all working with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could also see us having an uneasy alliance with her. But, like, the Tick and Arthur can work with, Big Shot, what's his name? With Overkill.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he's killing people, but he's doing it for the right reasons, and the Tick doesn't like that, but, like, he's still on their side. Lint's gone...
He's also not allowed to kill anymore.
Which is great. Lint has gone... And I love that that's what the Tick does with that. Like you're I give you my life, well, then you can't kill anymore. And, this Tick, he's so endearing.
Yeah.
But I think Lint has gone so far that it would not make sense for them to ever regularly work with her.
No, I agree, but I think she will be a regular on the show.
Okay.
No, she's...
It's just when you said that, I thought you meant she would, like, become a superhero and work with them.
No.
We can't do that.
No, but I do think she might be the fourth main character.
Interesting.
While on the other hand, Overkill, I think if they keep him, it'll be because he's really funny. I don't think he necessarily needs to be there, moving forward plot-wise.
Yeah, but he's got too much chemistry with Dot.
Yeah.
And I want to see that keep going.
Also, keep him there for actor reasons. Well, on Danger Boat.
I think you could be right, and it's going to be really hard for me not to make a lot of this review just speculation, but I want to do a little bit of that, because one of the great things about this is we get some answers, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm asking more questions than I've had answered, and that's actually surprisingly like satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I can tell Edlin has such a big plan, and I trust him, and I know it's and I trust it to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to find out some of these answers. But with what we're doing with Aegis at the end, and with Superior, I'm going to call him the champion. With Superior, I think there could be a lot more for Overkill to do that you're not even thinking of.
Right.
And also, I think he could possibly know some things that we don't realize he knows, because he keeps a lot of things close to the chest, and there's all these big secrets about Aegis. I was suspicious of Superior from the beginning, and a first watch through with this, I was like, oh, I'm surprised that Superior turned out to be altruistic. Flawed, but altruistic. I think he thinks his heart is in the wrong place. He doesn't think he's a bad guy, but I think there's a ends justifies the means thing maybe going on with him, and that he's actually working with this oppressive shadow government with Aegis. And there's some stuff in that last episode with him that makes me think that there's a big plan with him, and that he is not what he seems.
I didn't get that even the second time through. He still read to me the same way they did the first time.
Okay. I think I'm right about it.
Okay.
We'll see. The big thing, the big tell is that, and like, you can't deny this is on purpose, like, the big tell is that he freezes the Terror just before the Terror can start explaining things about Aegis.
But I don't know if that's a character thing or a script thing.
I think it's got to be a character thing. I mean, I could be wrong about it, but I think I'm right about this. But
well,
I guess
and
we'll
if you are right, that could be why he flies up to Arthur with the VLM. Like, they play like he's out of it, but maybe there's an intentional something.
Yeah, I mean, they
he's
still
doing there.
And I think he is I think he is out of it the whole time that they make it seem like he's out of it, but I also think that he's keeping a lot of secrets from people. There just always seem to be more going on with him than, and I'm just surprised there's such a slow burn with it.
Yeah, yeah.
I was really, really impressed with that, and that's a really bold move on Edlund's part, because he had no idea if he was going to get any more of this. I still say that Dot is going to get a costume.
I think you're right.
I think we will go that far. I hope so, and that'd be really cool. I'm impressed with how much I'm liking her, and with how well they've been able to integrate her. And from the very beginning, they were setting that up, but it totally works.
Yeah, no, she's great. Everything they're doing with her is great. The show is great.
That last episode is killer. They pull out all the stops. I didn't call the T pulling away from the sign. It's so cool.
And then the little T that's the escape pod, the lowercase T.
And the Tick's line where he screams that this episode was brought to you by the letter T. It's awesome.
And when Arthur brings back around You Got Nothing, and then he pulls out a gun, he's like, hey, I'm drunk, he's got a gun! He's got a gun!
Yeah, and
the face!
And I keep hearing people quote, oh, but the face. I think that's going to be... That one you might see on t-shirts. Like I'm hearing people quote that.
It's really good.
It's really funny.
You can't pierce his hide. Oh, but the face! He knows your weakness!
There are bits from this season that I wonder how or if they'll carry forward. Like... do we do anything more with Brown Tingle Cola? Like, does that stick around? Or
I bet you it sticks around in the background, but won't be like a major thing.
Yeah.
But I bet you we will keep having product placement and stuff.
Will that be like the drama flakes of the show?
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested to know how much Midnight's in anymore.
Me too. Well,
we did an awesome dogfight.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
He just punches him.
Yeah, it's hard not to just reminisce, you know.
Yeah.
It's just that good. Like, it's so solid.
Yep. And they're 25-minute episodes, and they feel like hour-long episodes, and it's really impressive how much they're able to pack into a half hour.
And I think part of the reason that they're able to be as visually ambitious as they are, because I mean, it feels like it's scripted for a cartoon show. Just the big stunt stuff. It feels like stuff that, on that budget and with that material, you would not try to do, and they're doing it. And I think part of that is because, I mean, I don't know how big their budget is, but I think part of that is because they don't have to fill out 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm. There's only one thing that they overextend themselves on with special effects.
There's two.
There's two.
And it's amusing because one is very small and one is very big.
Oh, yes, yes.
No, there's two.
There are two.
Because you already alluded to the scientist guy,
yes,
and the CG body that doesn't work, and maybe it's partly supposed to be funny because of how not great it looks, but then there's some stuff with the VLM, the Very Large Man, where there's no excuse for how we shoot that.
No, and that's what I was thinking of when I said...
No, I know.
No, the VLM looks really bad a lot of the time. And there's a couple of shots where it's like, yeah, there's no other way you could shoot that, but there's too many shots where I'm like...
I don't know why we couldn't just shoot the man on green screen and put a background on it.
Too many times for that, where I'm like, why... It's just a foot coming down the ground. Why is this CG foot?
And there's things I get, like when the Tick punches his big toe, and that's in CG, that's fine.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird, though, that he almost and I don't know why this is, he almost looks better in the daytime than he does at night, and usually we make those things nighttime shots to mask things. It looks worse at night.
Yeah.
I don't understand. The coolest shot in the whole show is when the Tick is looking up at him, though, at the end with that lighting effect.
Yeah.
It's killer.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm trying to think of other
things we should
really
bring up.
Good.
Yeah.
Everyone should go watch it. It's really well done. It's really funny, but it does that thing that a lot of, I want to say, like, dramedies do, where, like, I wouldn't call this a full-blown drama, but, like, you do get invested and care about the characters.
There is an internal logic.
Yes.
I buy everything that happens within the context of it. Everybody plays it straight. They don't know they're in as goofy of a universe as they're in.
Yep.
Arthur, as the protagonist of the show, we've already said in previous reviews, was the smartest move they made.
Yep.
And Edlin manages well, and you got to give a lot of credit to Fury too. Edlin and Fury both write a bunch of scripts in the second half, and they seem to almost be co-showrunners. It seems like, I don't know what it looks like behind the scenes, but like just the way the credits are, and from Angel you can see so much Fury in this as much as you see Edlin. But anyway, those two, I'm going to give them the majority of the credit. They carried that idea all the way to the end perfectly. Arthur, especially as they're becoming more public superheroes and they're being accepted, Arthur is becoming much closer to what I think of as comic book Arthur, except a little bit more confident, because like he earns that, and he's able to get there. And it's kind of refreshing to have a thing that starts from a like mentally unstable place, and he's at the end justified. And I don't know, it's weird to say this because it's such an absurd comedy, but it's one of the best things I've seen in a while in handling a big conspiracy theory plot.
Yeah, kind of because it's making fun of it.
Yeah.
Or you mean the Aegis thing? Because we
no, really I'm not even talking about that. I just mean in like
the master manipulator.
Yeah, and you're right. Like, some of that works because they come right out and say it doesn't make sense, and they can get away with some things. But I guess I mean more just in how that affects our protagonist and gives him a character arc.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't need the whole episode about Big Bismuth.
No, and I got tired of hearing people say that. And
they think that word is funnier than
they think that's funnier than I think.
Well, the first time I watched it, I'm like, okay, clearly it has something to do with big business. Like, what are they trying to tell me? What is that? I think they just think it sounds funny. I don't think there's any subtext to that.
I don't think there is either.
And like, there's a they land
and the Bismuth thing is cool because that's a real element, and it goes all the way back to the 1908 thing at the beginning. I mean, like, the setup and payoff of the show is really smart.
When we do the flashback, we like kind of lampshade how obnoxious the flashback is by like, do we really have to start this far back? And it's like, yes, we do. We did not. I didn't need most of his backstory. All I need to know is that he discovered that Big Bismuth hurts Superior.
No, there's a lot of things he says that are initially funny and then they get tiring.
Yeah.
That's true. We need to also briefly talk about, mostly because we don't know anything yet, which is exactly how this should be handled, I think. But we don't know anything about the Tick's backstory, but we keep hinting that we're maybe going to actually do some Tick origin in the show.
He might be a robot or a dog.
Yeah, he's not either of those things, and the dog was never a real question. But that was like the whole thing about the Tick thinking he's a robot is brilliant, and just the sheer amount of time. I mean, it's over a couple of episodes where he keeps doing robot-like things. Is really funny, and he'll start using like robot terminology, and he basically becomes that kid who wants to be Data.
Yeah,
in
TNG. Yeah.
But a hero worship.
And there's some really fun, subtle jokes, like, so the Tick doesn't remember anything, and he reads Midnight's book, which means, as far as he's aware, that's the only book he's ever read, ever. And when he meets Midnight, he
seems to be a speed reader, because he looks at part of a chapter and then has, like, a really thoughtful, poignant question.
But then when he goes and meets Midnight later, he goes, Midnight, my favorite author.
Yes.
And I think that's really funny, because I'm pretty sure that's the only author he's ever read.
Well, so far, because remember, as far as he knows, he didn't exist until Arthur started seeing him. And I mean, like there's a big thing there that we don't know anything about yet. But Edlin has played that consistently. And there's something to that. Like there is... We have not gone back to the Nightlight thing in a while. And I'm telling you that.
But we do a callback audibly.
We do. But that was still in the first half. I mean, it's been a while since we dealt with it.
No, it's in this back half.
Where?
There's a what are you going to do about it? With the Tick very distinctly...
We call back where he says it. You're right.
Yeah.
But we actually do a flashback to it in the first half.
No,
I thought that's what you were talking about.
But we do an audible callback to it.
You're right.
They remember it's there.
Yeah. And I mean, and they remember everything. Because I was really surprised, even though they had called back to it earlier in the season, I was surprised that they went back to You Got Nothing. Mm-hmm. That's also a thing I'd like on a t-shirt with the Terror's head. But, yeah, and I'm also, by the way, again, jumping around, I'm also excited that the Terror's not gone.
Yes.
because
He will come back
we'll
later.
do more stuff with him.
Yep.
I'm hoping in the second season we get more villains that I'm familiar with. I mean, they might
want
make up
Chairface.
some great villains, but I mean, yeah, obviously I love Chairface, and I think the show could get away with him.
But who's the one you want? The slimy guy.
Frackerzog.
Frackerzog.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this show can go to space,
Yeah.
or at least bring space things here.
They already have.
That's true. No, yeah, of course. But I just mean they can bring like actual aliens here.
They already have.
Well, I guess
You just mean
Superion.
not humanoid.
I guess Superion is an alien. That's true. Yeah. No, that's a good point. But I would anyway. There is something to this thing of the Tick somehow still being part of Arthur or something, even though he clearly is a real person and actually exists. And we get little hints about it. I don't know if that robot was actually somehow based on him, or if it's just a coincidence that it sort of has antennae. I kind of want to think it's the latter.
And the bluish hue.
And the bluish hue, yeah. But anyway, I'm really excited because there's no reason to think that it's not going to keep the quality it's got.
No. Well, with Edlin and Fury and the other people they've got on it.
But especially because they've set up so much and the story's not done. I mean, there's just it's.
But they built the confidence that they will pay off what they've set up because they've already paid off so much they set
And you
up.
can try, yeah, and they've been enticing us to think about all this stuff, and they've already paid off a lot of the things we thought about, or at least given us reason to think that they'll keep going forward with it. So they it's really smart storytelling. And one of the weirdly one of the smarter things we're watching.
Yeah.
It's so anyway, did you want to talk a little bit about Steven Universe?
Yeah.
We'll go ahead then.
So I watched all of season 1 of Steven Universe over the course of the past couple of months. My girlfriend's been showing it to me, which is the only way I would ever watch this show in the first place.
And I haven't watched it in a long time, and I've never seen the first season. I started in the middle of the second, I think.
I'm going to lead with negatives and then go backwards from there.
That sounds like you.
Yeah, it does. This show does not deserve to get a second season. Because it is the single worst thing I have ever seen at world building. I like things...
You won't be saying that later. I mean, that's one of the great things about it later. Wow.
I like things that don't need to stop and explain it to you, because why would you ever stop and explain anything to each other? Like, you all live in this world, you know how it operates. It doesn't give me anything. There is nothing at the beginning of the show to explain anything you're seeing. And what they think they're doing is they're setting up things that are going to pay off, and you're going to go, oh my god, they have thought every aspect of this out.
Yeah.
And there is some of that. The problem is, it takes so long to actually get to anything, and everyone I've ever talked to...
It feels like you're just looking at a bunch of stuff that's happening.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's fine when you go back to it and you know everything.
I'm glad I started later then.
Yes. And everyone I've ever talked to that loves Steven Universe says skip season 1. I think it's obnoxious...
But to go back to it.
Well,
or maybe not even that.
People have always just told me, you can't start season 1. Don't start season 1, skip it. I think it's obnoxious how they made this show, and I think it's unfair to other shows that have tried way harder in their first season that this got to keep going. I really don't like it, and it really bothers me. I made it through this. I would not have made it through if I'd sat down to watch it on my own. I made it through because I had a guide next to me. Whenever I'd be like, what is this about? And she was like, well, it's going to be this thing, and like you'll see kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But like, I had a guide through this world because it's nonsense for the first 2/3 of the season, and I think that's unacceptable. Whether the episodes themselves play, because a lot of them do, they are good individual pieces. I really don't like how it did that. I'm sure they have answers for everything, but I don't think that's how you structure a show. I had no confidence in it. Other than the fact that there's a person sitting right next to me saying, no, don't worry, I promise this all pans out and this all builds to something.
Yeah, it's not giving you enough incentive to keep going.
Yeah. I don't know how this show became a phenomenon.
And I've always said this, the first rule of storytelling is nobody gives a crap about your story.
This assumes everyone cares deeply, is the sense I get. I don't know how this show made it as far as it did. Now, when we get to the latter stuff and we start actually paying off answers and giving things, it is quite good.
Yeah.
And I really like the world. I think it's really interesting. I like the characters a lot. There are a couple of moments of reveals that I audibly gasped at, or like kind of like jumped, like I did not know that was a thing, or I did not see that coming. Like, it's not a bad show. I just think, exactly as you said, it forgot the first rule of storytelling. It assumes we all cared, and I'm surprised it made it as far as it. Like, I'm legitimately baffled that it got to finish. I would think that this was one of those shows that people would come back to later and be like,
oh, there's something here.
well, if you watch this whole thing, like, oh, it really pays off. They knew where they're going, but no one cared. I guess it's really good for it that it did get to keep going, because the creator of the show is called Rebecca Sugar. It is very clear she has spent a long time building out this world, and I do believe that she understands every aspect of this world. And I don't know if she knows where the story is going, but I believe she understands this whole universe.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting and unique universe.
And I don't know if you've gotten to much of this yet, but I mean, like, and I was surprised by this for an 11-minute cartoon show. Like, not only does it have a good sense of continuity, but those characters, like, continue to grow and evolve and are not the same person, the same people episode to episode.
And there's stuff that, early on, I was like, I didn't know what I was supposed to be getting from Steven at the beginning. I'm like, he's an idiot and he ruins everything. Is that supposed to be enduring? Or endearing?
Yeah.
Like, am I supposed to be connected to this idiot? And then, like,
it's an innocence thing.
Yes, it is an innocence thing. I still think there's a couple of points where I would not have brought him along on missions, but, like,
yes,
you do start seeing the progression of the characters. And there is some really good character progression and things like that.
Some of it is mythology things, some of it's because of whose mom is.
Yeah. I don't
know how much of that you got into yet. I don't want to spoil anything.
No. I know all about his mom. At least, I know who his mom is and what she is and all of that,
okay.
and where he comes from. That's all.
Because he does have a little bit of, like, a Spock thing.
Yeah. But there's certain things that I think that should have been conveyed, that could have been conveyed very simply. I spend over half a season going, why does he live with these people and not his dad?
And that's just so distracting.
Yeah, where I'm like, but why doesn't he live with his father? His father seems to love him. And then there's finally an answer. I shouldn't have to wait that long for basic setting things like that. People love his father. I don't get it. Like his father's fine. People love his father. I don't know what that's about. I like it. If my girlfriend and I split up tomorrow, I would not keep watching.
Do you think it...
No, I could get to that point. I believe I could get to that point. I believe that I could finish season 2 and just be like, do I have to wait for us to hang out? Like, can I just keep watching? Like, is that fine? Like, I believe that's possible. It's good enough, and I have enough people whose opinion I respect that tell me that it's really good. That, like, I believe it will get great. And the last couple of episodes of season 1 are really good. I don't know about the last episode. That felt like filler, superfluous. I'm like, you have a big ending, you had an epilogue, and then you have like a whole like episode or 2 more? Why does that exist? I also saw the first episode of season 2. And if I wasn't already annoyed that they got a second season because of how they treated their audience, the first episode of season 2 is out of canon and a crossover with another show that was painful to watch. And apparently everyone hates the episode in that other show, but whatever.
That's weird.
There's a moment near the end of the first season where I legitimately, like, lost it, like, laughed out loud, but also was, like, emotionally touched, which is the kind of thing that people tell me they get from this show.
Yeah.
Like I've had people tell me, like that show just hits me. And I'm watching this, I'm like, this is good. It's better than My Little Pony in the sense of, like, I watch My Little Pony, I'm like, this is a kid's show. Like, I don't get what people see in this. Once it finally got going, 20 episodes, 20, 30 episodes into their 52-episode season, I was like, oh, this is it. I finally see what people are talking about, and, like, I can kind of get it.
I mean, there's some real story sophistication.
Yeah. But there's this moment where Steven wants his friend Connie to not be friends with him anymore because he's worried that she's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And he has this whole, like, he just keeps saying, like, he's hiding from her, and he keeps saying, like, we can't be friends. And she's like, okay, that's fine. We won't be friends. All you have to do is come out and tell me that we can't be friends. And he jumps down, and it's really dramatic, and his face is hidden entirely in shadows. I was like, okay, so, like, we're going to spend, like, half a season where, like, they're both sad that they can't be friends, and, like, eventually they'll patch things up. And he just lifts his face up. It's just tears and snot and just the saddest face I've ever seen, and I just lost it because I was not expecting that. I'm hoping that now that I'm past the part that everyone told me to skip in the first place, that like I won't really have much to complain about moving forward.
Yeah. No, I think that's true.
And the 11 episode format works really well for it.
The 11 minute format, yeah.
Yeah, the 11 episode. The 11, it's a 52 episode format. The 11 minute format works really well in the same way that we talked about how the Tick kind of feels like an hour. It feels like a full half hour. Like, I watched an 11 minute episode. It feels like a whole normal episode of the show.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with the pacing and stuff. I really like all of the voice actors. There's a couple of people that are like famous people. For the most part, I don't know most of these voice actors, and I think they all do a stellar job. Before I watched it, I had major issues with the animation. Not the animation, the character design, which I thought were lazy. I don't know if I actually disagree with myself from like 3 months ago. I got used to them.
It's the Powerpuff Girls thing.
Yeah.
It starts to look stylized. Now, some of it wants to be simpler and flat because it's throwing back so hard to 8 and 16-bit video games.
Yeah.
And that's part of why it looks the way it does. Well, big question I wanted to ask you is if you feel like it, or if you had this at the beginning anyway, if you thought that it used nostalgia too much as a crutch.
No.
Because that was the thing I was impressed with it where I didn't feel like it did that.
No, I don't feel like it does. It feels...
But it does use that as a tool. I mean, that's all there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of like Zelda and Mario imagery and iconography.
No, there is, and there's also a lot of Dragon Ball Z in it. It feels like it's building on those things more than it's not stopping and saying, look, it's a Mario thing.
Yeah.
And some of the references, there's a reference to the Wendy's training videos I showed you, or their music videos. There's a whole sequence that's based on one of those, and I thought that was hilarious. I was like, there's like 15 people that are going to know what this is, but that's awesome.
Yeah, and they do, from the stuff I've seen, they do a lot of like commercial satire and stuff. There's a whole episode making fun of board games and the way we sell board games. And
interesting.
Reserves.
There's some of that about
one of my favorite things is the episode all about the difference between a motel and a hotel. That still just kills me. The talent show episode is really good.
There's an episode about the movie adaptation of a book series that Connie really likes, and then later there's an episode about a different book series that she really likes. I think it's intentional that like both of them were her favorite book series. Like when we talk about this movie, it's her favorite book series ever, and then later there's a different book series that's her favorite book series ever, and I think that's the episode more than anything where like I learned to like stop being as critical and like trust them, and it's well into the season, where Steven reads this book series because Connie likes it, and then like as I'm watching the episode, I'm like, does Steven even comprehend what he's reading?
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm continuing to think he's an idiot. It doesn't seem like he even comprehended what he was reading. And then there's a reveal that he hasn't been talking to Connie for a bunch of the time, and so that's why some of the things didn't exactly play out. And then at the end, they have a sophisticated conversation about the book, where she hates the ending of the books because it's this big epic for like 6 books. In the 7th book, the main character gives up her entire quest and just gets married. It's all about a wedding.
That's hilarious.
And at the very end of the episode, Steven's like, I really liked that. And then he lays out like his view of the series, where he's like, well, you remember this scene and where this character said this, and she's like, I read it like this, and he was like, yeah, but if that's this, then that tracks, and like he sees it where he's like, yeah, no, I think that was the whole thing. Like I think this was always the plan, and like I was like, oh, he's not an idiot. Like, oh, they're like after that moment, I was like, okay, so like,
no, he's supposed to be
there's some real complexity.
He's supposed to
here.
be a smart kid without any street smarts.
Also, the first episode where like the show really wins me over, and I'm like, maybe I might be interested in seeing more of this show.
There's a lot of stuff in that show about single parenting.
Yeah.
And like the gems have to kind of pick up some of the slack for what his father can't do, and his father kind of I think like overcompensates a little bit and is maybe like too easygoing and lenient, and so he's missing. He's missing a whole parent. He's missing a good female influence, but he's not getting maybe the best masculine influence either, because his dad's not doing a lot. But I mean, like, everybody likes his dad. I mean, I'm with you there, but I wonder if they're not intentionally.
He's kind of a loser,
making him yeah.
But everyone loves him. Like, maybe that's what they love about it. But like, he's kind of a loser.
No, he's funny.
Yeah, like he's a good guy.
Yeah.
There's an episode early on.
Yeah, he's honest. He's trying. I mean, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus.
No, not at all. But he seems like the guy that's always got a scheme. Like, he's not like a schemer, but like he seems like a guy.
The schemers.
He seems like a guy that's always got a way to make money. You know, it's that kind of personality type. He does have a steady business, but like he just has this feeling of a guy that is always has a plan to like.
Does he look like a guy with a plan?
He looks like a guy that would ask you for money for an investment for a big idea he has, and then would come back 2 months later and ask you for money for an investment for a different idea.
It's been a while since I've watched it. That's what I was trying to get at. Is that he's a little bit unrealistic, and his head's a little his head's a little in the clouds, and that rubs off too much on Steven.
Yeah,
I think is the idea.
But there's an episode maybe within the first 10 episodes.
I'll go back to that eventually.
That feels like, or that for me,
when you start to get closer to where I was, I'll try to catch up.
Sure. There's this episode in the first like 10 episodes where like that was the episode where I was like, okay, maybe there might be something here. Like, I watched the first couple, it was fine, and then we get to an episode with Kitty Millionaire, and I loved it, and I just want that to be the show because it's the funniest thing I've ever seen, and I love it so much.
I haven't seen that.
He has this wrestling character where he plays a villain. So Amethyst, to blow off steam, goes and is the villain in like a wrestling thing, and Steven wants to come and do it too, and he makes up a character, and it seems like that.
Oh, Amethyst does this?
Yeah,
okay, that's really funny.
Yeah,
that just by itself is pretty funny.
And he makes up a character. It seems like just like that, called Kitty Millionaire, where he just puts on like a cat nose with like whiskers, and like a suit, I think, and like a little briefcase, and but then he has an entire detailed history and backstory for the character and how he's a working father and trying to make money for his kids. And he goes, and he's just mean, and it's hilarious because it's like a really petty, like rich kind of a mean. And there's a point where he's mean to Lars, and Lars is his biggest fan, and then he's mean to Lars because Lars asks him for an autograph, and he says like, you couldn't afford it. And Lars is heartbroken because it's his favorite wrestler. And then later, everyone turns on them because they're the villains, and Lars just goes, I don't like him because he was mean to me personally. And I was like, well, that tracks.
That sounds really smart too, because like he puts on his mask and tries to be somebody else, and then it's really revealing.
It's really things about how he sees the world and his creative process and things like that. So like I said, I started negative. I really do think the structure of the first season is obnoxious, but pretty quickly I was kind of won over by the show, and by the end I do think it's a good show, and I'm interested to see. I'm not interested enough to watch it on my own, but I am interested to see where it goes. And I believe that could become a show that I would really like.
Get you there. There's things I'm having to be really careful not to tell you about.
Cool. I finally watched Steven Universe, which I believe at some point I have said is the thing I'm ready for people to stop talking to me about. I think that's on a video somewhere where it's like, what's the one thing that like everyone tells you is great, but you have no interest in? I think.
Was it like in a Q&A or something?
Yeah. I think
it was a rant where you were just, hey, people, stop bothering me about this.
No, it might have been even on an earlier Omnibus.
Yeah, it might have been.
I don't know where it is, but I'm pretty sure I say Steven Universe is the thing that I just do not care about and have no interest in ever seeing, but I got forced to watch it, and it's not bad. I like it, all right? I'm not dreading watching it.
Well, this is the end of our new segment, Eric's Girlfriend Made Him Watch. Thanks much for watching Primetime Crisis, everybody. We sure appreciate it. If you're watching this as its own video, thanks for clicking on that. And if you're watching the Omnibus proper, we're going to move on right now to He Made Me Watch. Not Eric's Girlfriend Made Him Watch, but me, the Captain Logan, made Eric watch. No, Eric made me watch something. No,
I made me watch.
Sorry, strike that reverse. I made you watch a thing. Let's just get into it.
I made you watch something I've never seen and you've already seen.
Okay, anyway, intro, go.